Welcome to the Move, Sweat, Discover podcast. I am your host, Avi Cortez, and today we are joined by Jonny Tieu, who is a fitness consultant, a Nike trainer, PT, run coach, Spartan athlete, High Rocks athlete. I'm really interested today to learn more about Jonny's story, his journey with fitness and the industry. So, without further ado, joining us from the dark, wintry depths of Bali, welcome, Jonny. Thank you so much for your time today. How are you?
Great, great. Thank you for having me on board. Definitely fun vibes. And yeah, it is winter indeed in Bali, which is I don't even know what that means coming from New York. Winter is actually winter, and here is just similar weather all year round. It's either going to be wet or dry. Pick one or the other.
Yeah. So we've never met each other in person, actually.
No, we haven't. No, yeah.
We know a few people in common. So when I actually started the show, one of my friends who was also on the show, Lindsay Jang, said that it was a no-brainer that I get you on. So she said that you were the definition of fitness, and so here we are. um,
Well, that's a
but
bold claim, but thank you so much. I really appreciate that from Lindsay.
but your journey as Mr. Fitness didn't always start out that way. You worked in finance, I believe, right?
Indeed, yep.
What has your relationship with movement been throughout your life, and what was? Talk to me about the transition from like that to where you are now.
Yeah, I think growing up, I don't think there was any defining moment of fitness per se. I think back in the day, it's like you just go out there and play. There wasn't much time for video game. There wasn't much time for watching movies. I got in trouble for staying out too late playing around in neighborhood, like literally out in the streets of New York, playing around the backyard. My mom's like, "Come back home when the light gets to, well, when the light turns on, the street lights." And I would get in trouble because I just was playing tag or running around playing ball. So I think growing up, I was always quite active. I didn't know I was athletic in any ways. I just thought I just
Mm,
enjoyed being outdoors, enjoy moving my body, and enjoy playing whatever games the neighborhood kids had going on. And in school, the same thing. I don't think I was particularly good in anything per se because I don't think I was honing on to anything, but I was always loved variety of sports, whether it was tennis, handball, running around. We did a little bit of track work, but there wasn't track and field. It was just running around. Volleyball. What else we did? We did a little bit of oh, I got into bowling. Well, that was quite interesting. That was something that
no.
people won't expect. I got into varsity bowling, and yeah, so that just kind of went with it. And it wasn't until I would say sometime during college where a friend of mine's, his name is Phil, is a good friend. He got me into running our neighborhood 5 miler. So I don't think I particularly ran in any races before that, and that was just the first thing. Like run a race. It's our local neighborhood. We've seen this before. Why not? And to this day, I remember I hated that race. I never thought I would want to do it again. But somehow, after the race, I podiumed for my age group. I did fairly well, and I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's give it a shot. Let's see where this goes and what we can do with this if I actually train for running. So I just started running a little bit more, and it moved into when I went into finance. I still kept that balance of training and running along with my workload. It
Mm,
wasn't ideal, but somehow generally I got into the whole obstacle course racing world. That was kind of new in the scene back in like 2008 to 2012, where Spartan, Tough Mudder, Mud Warrior, all those obstacle course races started popping up, and I thought that was fun. That was unique for me because I imagine my life as a giant zombie movie. That's something I actually really, really enjoy, and it's a guilty pleasure of mine. So that just came the way how I train. Just like, hey, how can I run, jump, climb, carry things, and move my body in different movement patterns. So that balance kind of flowed through the entire my fitness lifestyle has always been similar like
mm,
that. With finance, I was in Bank of America. I was in Wall Street. I did banking towards risk, and then it was 5 years I was in finance. And at the time, I thought it was something that I really wanted to do. I thought that was going to be my career path, and it was great. I don't think I have anything to particularly note that was negative about it. It was just I just didn't see myself growing from there. It was
yeah.
still towards a job versus a career. It was something that was not as fulfilling, but I wasn't aware of the fulfillment at the time. I just felt it was a good income. It was pretty much what everybody wanted being in New York, living in that
Mm,
profession, the finance, and I had the balance of fitness along with it. But, luckily enough, I had the opportunity to kind of shift career paths. I had a couple of openings with Nike. I somehow started working with Nike back in 2015, 12 when the running boom started before that, and we started just building out one thing at a time. They picked me up in the middle of Central Park. Being Asian definitely helped with that because I don't think at the time
Mm,
there wasn't many fast running Asians, and that kind of added to my benefit. And I helped out with a lot of different things along the way. Joined Black Roses. That was one of the premier running clubs back in New York back in the day, and was able to help out with some of the stuff with Nike training, Nike running. And when I quit finance, I did a stint of traveling around Asia for, let's say, 9 months. And the end of that 9 month trip, I had to fly back for a wedding. I ended up in Hong Kong. Had a lot of friends there. Been there a couple times. I was like, why not? Let's hang out a little bit longer in Hong Kong before I find a flight I want to fly back to New York. And that was actually when I bumped into Lindsay. That's when we got to find out, know about each other. That's when the idea got planted of potentially maybe moving out to Hong Kong. And yeah, I got back to New York, and that conversation kept on going. And I was just like, why not? Let's give it a shot. Had a couple other opportunities, but I think of being away for so long, it's like, yeah, I kind of do see myself living abroad. And that's how it all started, being in Asia with fitness and
mm.
leaving finance.
I'd imagine that in finance, you were obviously working long hours, and you mentioned that you were still kind of active, and you started the Nike thing then. I'm curious, like, how did you find balance in all of that?
Yeah, I don't think it was as bad as everybody imagined because I wasn't full on working in investment banking where it was
Right.
late hours, super, super late. I still had a quite balance of between 8 to 6, 8 to 7, but I kept my own responsibility to myself, and that was I needed to go out, I needed to and train. So I wasn't attending after parties. I wasn't going towards all
Mm,
these drinking workshops and networking events. Yes, they could have helped me climb socially, but I didn't see the benefit of it. My company knew I was out the door doing my own thing, doing my own runs or training for something. So they never had a qualm about me not joining in for happy hour drinks on a Friday. Um, and I'll make it up with our hangouts and getting to know my teammates through day to day stuff versus just having to drink and get wasted. So I don't think that was a big problem for me. Yes, there were certain days that are definitely a lot longer. I think it came down to what your intentions were and what
mm.
you were focused on. And for me, my focus was I enjoy the fitness lifestyle, but at the same time, I wanted to focus on. Sorry, I enjoy the finance lifestyle, but I also wanted to focus on my fitness side, and that was
Mm.
bringing me happiness along with the way.
So it wasn't a Wolf of Wall Street type of situation.
No, it wasn't like that. So it wasn't. I definitely that could have been. That definitely could have been the lifestyle I felt I could have fallen into if I think I wanted that a little more. But I think I enjoyed my fitness stuff lifestyle a little bit too much, and I had
Mm.
my support system that allowed for that. That kept me along the track with that.
So what do you feel you took from your finance background, if anything, into where you are at now in fitness?
I think the sense of leadership, the ability for networking, growth mindset of understanding everything is coming through either a protocol, routine, or progression. So things of working with people and delegation, all those, I think that works within the business side of my fitness background. Fitness in itself, I think, is just a sense of dedication to overcoming challenges. So bits and pieces were already there coming from fitness to my finance world, but then a lot of it from professional finance world also dove into my fitness lifestyle,
Mm.
especially knowing how to manage my own finances and dealing with the way I live now.
Yeah. I've always kind of got the feels whenever I hear people's inspiring stories of being on one career path and then kind of jumping into a completely different one. Because I feel like so many people, even on a small scale, like do a uni degree and then follow that trajectory because they're invested time and money into it, but then they're reluctant to kind of try something new. Um, but now you're living and breathing your passion, and it's pretty inspiring to me as well, doing what you're doing and seeing how far you've come. Like on that, I kind of wanted to ask, what was the motivation to move from Hong Kong to Bali?
um, oof, a lot of
Because
many
that's
different
quite a big
factors.
jump.
Yeah. But I guess the first thing would be even just transitioning from finance to fitness, right? I mean,
Mm,
now it sounds all pretty, it sounds great, and now people talk about jumping career paths. But back then, like during 2014, 2015 time, I didn't barely knew anybody that would have done that. It was
mm,
a shock to everybody that I even transitioned out of finance to go somewhere else and maybe decide of having a whim. Like, are you sure about this? You had all this
yeah.
you studied for in college and focused on for 5 years of your profession. And it was scary. Honestly, it was scary at the time. And it was something that I didn't expect and something that I wasn't thinking that I was going to go into, but opportunities came, and I think even till now, like you mentioned, how did I end up in Bali? How did I end up in Indonesia? Literally every single opportunity that came knocking on my door, I just ended up having a why not opportunity. It was like, why
Mm,
not? I think my time in Hong Kong during that phase, I've explored much of it, got to know a lot of people, seen the fitness industry for the way it was, and I thought there was much more growth for me elsewhere. In Indonesia, the community, the people, the way the lifestyle is, there is, yes, they're still behind on the fitness world, but there's a lot of growth mindset that they have versus how they build communities. Like everybody's wanting to share, everybody wants to be part of something, everybody wants to help. Versus, unfortunately, to say, Hong Kong definitely there is a select group that does that, but also a lot of
mm,
people don't have that same mindset versus a trying to just take as much as you can from each other versus helping each other along the way. There's a lot of us that do that, but majority of the city isn't like that because it's a rat race scenario, right?
mm,
So when I've been in and out more of Indonesia, I started noticing that the family aspect, the sharing aspect, the growth aspect, all of that was there, and that's something that I always cherished more. And I was like, you know what, let's challenge myself a little more and transition over. But I wasn't just moving into Bali at first; I was moving into Jakarta because I had an opportunity that popped up there to grow my business and also potentially build my relationships that way. And just because the pandemic happened, Bali became an opportunity that I didn't expect. I always wondered what if it was Bali, but it only became possible because of the pandemic.
mm. What's the Bali fitness scene like, and how is it
It's
different to Hong Kong, do you think?
it's booming. I mean, as everybody expect what Bali is, it's fit, it's food, it's everything and everything. It's a lot going on with Bali. Currently, I would say since the pandemic and even before the pandemic, gyms has just grown out of hand. And each
Mm,
and every gym I know is doing it well. Everybody is successful. No one is in the sense of having a animosity towards each other. There's more of a camaraderie for most gyms. They kind of help each other out, or they all know each other. Owners kind of know of each other. Everybody's doing their own thing, but at the same time, when community is involved, they do bring the community together with each of the separate gyms that are there.
mm,
I think that what's different from the here in Hong Kong is that a sense of all the gym owners kind of either communicate or there's a lot of people here that wants to be fit and they're not trying to educate people. They're actually people that already know they want to be fit. So they're not trying to teach people to bring people consumers in. Consumers are already coming, and and as a gym, we're adding value to these consumers by providing them different types of training style, different types of recovery protocols, unique experiences, and gathering community. So I think a lot of it comes down to people that come to Bali because it's such a say yes, Hong Kong's transient too, and it has a certain know-how of it, but there's still a lot of local from Hong Kong that when they join a gym, there is a certain expectation to teach and coach them. But here in
mm.
Bali, a lot of people here when they come here for fitness, they're already into fitness journey. They know what they want. They know they want to be challenged, and so it makes our job a little easier to give them the next level of training or coaching, and provide them with the full balance of good food, good training, good recovery. So all that's providing all in one shop. And pretty much every gym, the minimum requirement is to have a full recovery center.
Yeah. You mentioned communities quite a bit. What does community mean to you?
Well, that word is bastardized in many ways,
Mm,
but community, community, in a sense, for me, is as it's naturally allowing it to happen without thinking about it happening. So, in my sense, building a community, I don't think about building community. I think about community coming together on their own naturally. So, if a space
mm,
provides for that, the people, the authenticity, the integrity, and the shared core values, that becomes a community for me. So anything that I do with my fitness journey, my own groups that I work with, the gyms I work with, the community tends to build on their own versus having to actually force something to be built. Because if you say, hey, I want a community of this, and these people that come, most likely that ain't going to happen. And that's going to be very
yeah.
false. So in that sense, I believe in community as in the people that do come on their own way and they find their way with whether it's a gym or a run club or even a restaurant, whatever that is allows individuals to become part of something. Feel
Yeah.
like they fit in, feel like they can share, feel like they can bond, feel like they can bring value to each other and share. And I think that's where it comes down to for me with community.
So what do you feel are like the key kind of pillars that attract people to grow these communities? If that makes sense.
I think it comes down to well, first of all, be social media first, right? People see a couple things, and
Mm,
that's the initial walk into the door. Okay, this place looks cool. Either the people look fit, there's aesthetic purposes. That's the first thing that goes in the door. But I feel like that's the most superficial area out of it.
mm,
The other areas would be the actual information you're providing or the actual training you're providing if it's a gym. And if it's my running club, it's the asset of who's pushing each other, who's motivating each other, who's inspiring each other. And the next pillar, I think, becomes the authenticity of the owners, the organizers. Are they really there for the others, or are they there for themselves, or are they there for profit? So I
Yeah.
think that's the second phase of it. And then the third would be, how is each of the members of your group elevating each other? Are they helping it? Are they helping your members grow together? Or are they taking away? Is there gossips going around, or is everybody just on the same plane of inspiring, cheering each
Mm.
other on, providing positive messages? So I feel like those are the three in my mind, whether it's initially visual, second would be the authenticity purposes, and then also the giving back with the members part.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, most of these businesses that we work with, it's not, you're not recreating the wheel. You're just providing a value for a lot of people because everybody wants to be part of something. But what that something is where the community aspect comes from.
Yeah. What we talked a little bit before off mic earlier, but what does a day in the life of Jonny look like? Talk us through that. Like, do you have a morning routine? How many times a day or a week do you work out?
Yeah.
Mr. Seeing as though you're Mr. Fitness and all.
Lately has been interesting. It's my schedule has been more hectic than I can ever count, and I feel like as though things are getting a little bit out of hand. But that's a good problem to have per se. Generally,
Mm.
my day starts around 5:30, 6 a.m. It is quite hot in Bali, so we tend to be out the door by 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. Either I'm going out for a run, and it's a run either run by myself or run with my group that I've built up, Continue Athletics. So either I'm coaching them and getting my workout in, or I'm just out there by myself getting my own workout out the door because I just want to get them done the first thing possible, and I can focus on everybody else the rest of the day. And after
Mm.
that, yeah, I'm either at meetings, coaching calls, or I'm helping different businesses grow their brand, consulting different fitness businesses, or I'm doing some group classes. So I still coach here and there, and those are things I do enjoy on the side. I do coach some of the advanced high rocks classes. I coach some of the advanced running sessions. Anything that revolves a little bit more on the specific focus side, I tackle those. And midday, it's kind of where I have focused. I can have a little bit of sit down time. It's hot. It's really hot during midday. That's when I have my lunch, zone out a little bit, focus on computer work, anything I need to get done for my own personal business, or if it's someone else's brand I'm trying to build. And the afternoons, if it's a chill afternoon, I get to enjoy it to myself, sunsets and recovery vibes. Or if it's not that, then it's probably client calls. I have an online coaching business too, so I have client calls with clients online or from all over a different world. So depending on which time zone they're at, that tends to take up my evenings. Yep, that's generally how my days are. And I would say I would love that I would have a weekend for downtime, but it seems like you leave a 9 to 7 business for a 24-hour business.
Mm. So you're moving maybe like twice a day?
I generally ideally want to get my workout done one block in the morning and call it a day. I try not to
Okay.
do two different workouts. I don't, people tend to overcomplicate their training. They tend to do a little bit more than they have to. I get everything done hard and focused, and I get it out of the way so I can focus on either myself or the recovery afterwards.
Mm. I'm at my happiest when I'm moving and like literally any form of exercise. So
Yeah,
I'm just throwing myself into it. I teach a lot of classes where I'm actually moving along with the students.
yep,
But I also find like time outside of that to kind of move for myself, just for like my own kind of mental health, or, like yoga, a little bit of strength training. Like for me, it's like a non-negotiable. So I'm moving like, I don't know, up to like 6 days a week or so, and also kind of giving that time for recovery. But do you share a similar experience where you kind of draw the line at like, I don't know, like how do you make your space for yourself within like your own kind of fitness and your own teaching?
yeah. A lot of the times I do train with my clients. So some of my
Mm,
classes, and even when I was in Hong Kong working with Top Fit, I was known for that, where I work on my clients. They know that whatever work I'm providing is a work that we're all doing together, and we're going to push
yeah,
together and
yeah,
motivate each
yeah.
other. Similar with you, right? It's like it's part of our time. We're trying to maximize our time as much as possible, and that's I do find value. That's sharing time with people around you. That's
Mm,
fulfillment for me because I'm seeing my clientele grow in their fitness performance. and also seeing allowing me to maximize my time where if I can get this out of my way, I'm happier because I've got my sweat on, I got my workout done, I'm in a happier place, and now I could focus on all the other things that need my attention, whether it's work or client or
Mm,
other things like that. um, what I've been needing to focusing on more now is shaving that time personally for me, because I've given my time a lot to others currently with coaching and training and business and work and whatnot. There has been lack of time to myself, and this is when I literally go out earlier in the morning and just go for my morning runs or my morning training alone, because certain times, even though training can be great with others, there are some things I'd rather do myself, and some things I enjoy doing myself, as a sunrise session or just something to refocus and reestablish that. But you're right. Having that sanity of movement is enjoyment for me. But I think the one thing is that I still have to train and compete. So there's a certain
mm,
caliber of training that I have to withhold, and sometimes that requires me to do it alone versus with others. And I would love to have others along with me along the way.
mm. I want to talk to you about just on that point on like mental health and how big a
Hmm.
part fitness plays. Like, there's a big stigma around like men's mental health and kind of speaking up on that and the vulnerability surrounding that. What is your experience with that, would you say?
Uh, I guess mental health part, I think I'm quite reflective where I actually analyze my personal well-being, emotional well-being,
Mm,
intellectual well-being, where I'm at constantly. If something doesn't really make me happy, I try not to do it. If people around me don't make me happy, I try not to hang around them. And I'm quite verbal about those things. It wasn't always the case. And like you said, men's mental health and being that vulnerability does come in a very interesting conversation for many. I think living in Bali has definitely opened that area up where I don't mind being vulnerable to people, especially people that are open to me and willing to share. And I'm the one that most of the time will ask someone, "Hey, are you okay?" Like between a guy, between a girl, it doesn't really matter. If you're my homie and I care about you, I'm gonna ask, "Hey, is everything good? Are you all right? What's going down? Something bothering me?" Because there's always something bothering all of us. And the genuine question we all have to ask, whether it's your friend or yourselves or family, right, is the question, "Are you happy?" That's a question
mm,
that I reiterate and ask a lot of people and myself, because the first time you ask anybody, "Are you happy?" you're gonna get the same answer. Yeah, 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 yeah. We're all happy. We're brushing it off. Everything's okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're all right. We're all good. And then you ask it again, they start stepping back. It's like, okay, what are you trying to get with this? And by the time you ask them the
mm,
third time, that's when you're really gonna get an answer. It's like, okay, this person's actually asking because they care, or they asking because they're intrigued, or are they really concerned about something? So I tend to ask my friends like, 3 to 4 times are they happy in various different ways to make sure that we're all coming down to the same answer. And that's where I think the mental health aspect comes in, whether it's my personal mental health or the mental health of people around me that I care about, or even just clients. Sometimes you can tell your clients that they're going through something just the way they're training, the things they're asking for, how hard they're training. You'll notice some certain changes. Again, within our career paths, me and you, we have to be a little bit more empathetic and understanding and aware of how our clients work. And you'll pick up these things, and that's where I think the mental health aspect comes in, because yes, we focus so much on the physical body, and yes, we focus on a lot of the aesthetic purposes of it. The majority of the time is mentally, are you okay? And that if that comes through,
mm,
everything else, whether it's your fitness journey, your work, your challenges, things that you thought you had a problem with, everything will flow through if you focus more on the mental side of your own personal self. But that takes time and dedication, and that's not something previously, especially Asian culture, it's not something
mm,
we talk fairly deeply about, especially men in Asian culture. That's even worse, right? So you have different aspects of that. But I think my personal experience and my current personal tolerance of that, I'm all for mental health. I'm all for personal questions. I'm all for being vulnerable to people. The guy that would ask about my guy friends, is their relationships doing all right? Are they struggling with something? Open up, let's chat, let's share, because there's nothing wrong with sharing, and there's nothing wrong with looking what people would say be weak, because there's no such sense of weakness.
yeah.
Because weakness is only what personally they think about it, but in general, that's just being a human being.
Yeah. I mean, as trainers, we are like, I think you touched upon it before. We're giving so much energy out and giving so much of ourselves out. How do you make space and time for yourself?
Yeah, that's like I mentioned, like that's something that we sometimes need to draw the line for.
Mm,
The joke I always make is, people think as trainers we get to work out all the time, we get to do what we want. It's great, we live in the gym. But at the end of the day, after you start helping other people out, you are drained and swamped. Your
yeah.
positive energy goes towards your clients. your focus, your attention, your happiness. A lot of things goes toward that clients more than clients actually know. And by the end of the day, sometimes you're a shell of yourself.
Yeah.
And so that it takes more. Yeah, I remember the first year we were doing it. I was like, wow, why am I always so exhausted? I didn't even do anything. We become the joke is that we become their trainer, their therapist, and nutritionist, their psychotherapist, everything and anything. Sometimes that comes which way, that's going to be thrown at us one way or another. And that's, yeah, you're right. This is where you have to carve personal time for yourself, myself, ourselves. Uh, for me, is having boundaries of what I can, when I discuss with my clients, where we cut things off, and also when I would say no to taking on people, no personal
Mm.
time that I set along for myself on my schedule that's going to be not compromised. So like my mornings, I'm going to keep my mornings to myself where I can focus on my own training, focus on my goals, focus on the things I want to do to set myself right. And then along with that, I would allow myself to share after that.
Yeah. And that's why I love personally waking up so early. So I wake up like roughly between 4:30 and 5 actually.
Yeah.
And like I have like at least an hour and a half to just be and do whatever I want. Like I meditate, I journal, I do a little bit of stretching, and then normally they'll have like a pretty early session at 6 or 7 or whatever. So
Yeah.
I value that time in the morning where no one is texting me, no one is emailing me about something. It's just beautiful time. Yeah.
And it's crazy. I think that's one crazy thing I learned living in Asia. So coming from New York, where there is a certain time boundary that people don't message you. But ever
Mm,
since I moved to Asia and downloaded WhatsApp and all these different things, I'm like, crap. Everybody just go at you, and it's up to you to have that responsibility to reply
mm,
when you want to reply and set your own boundary. Because now I don't pick up my phone maybe till like 10, 11 o'clock technically.
mm,
And if you message me, you're probably much not going to get a response from me later afternoon when I'm done with all my own personal things. So that thing, those another thing I set to myself to
mm.
as my own time frame and time slots to work on.
Yeah. So let's go back to your competitive racing. How did you get into so you've run how many marathons have you run?
I've ran, I want to say 11 marathons now by now. Yeah,
Okay,
11
wow.
marathons, a lot of halves. Yeah, a lot of half marathons. Yep.
Yeah. And they've been mostly in the US or just kind
All
of
over
all over the place?
actually.
Yeah.
So with Nike, I never thought, I mean, growing up, I never thought running was going to be a thing. Didn't think I was good at it. Apparently I was. Knew from a long time ago. My mom knew that. I didn't think that. I just thought it was a penalty for every sport I played. I'm like, why would I want to do running when it's a penalty of every single sport? But now
Mm,
growing up and also in the fitness industry, why was it a penalty? It's like the best thing you could train yourself in every single sport to get better in everything. Whether it's just even as a swimmer, if you ran, you would have been better in every single sport. So it's a funny
mm.
use of a training style. Um, yeah, marathons. Yeah, it's 11 marathon plus. Sorry, what was
And
the
what
question?
is
I was distracted.
what is the next when is the next marathon for you? What is your next race? Because you're also doing a
uh,
lot of high rocks, right? That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
buzz
yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah, so my focus, I guess my focus shift. Sorry, you were asking me if I've done most of my marathons. Again, started it with Nike because they kind of helped me out and give me that direction, but I never thought I was gonna do it. Somehow we were already training for it for so many years. I was like, you know what, why not? I'll dive into my first marathon. So first one was a New York City marathon. Did a pretty much an amazing time. Everybody would consider it an amazing time. Did it in 3 hours and 25 seconds for my first marathon. And then from there on out, it was just like, okay, let's see what the next one is. So the first year I'd done 3 marathons back to back. So did a sub 3 hours, got qualified for Boston, done the Boston Marathon, and then I traveled around for various different marathons. I've done Paris, Valencia, done Berlin, Chicago, Philly. The ones I'm currently missing is from the world majors is Tokyo and London, just because I've been signing up for lottery and currently I've been rejected for lottery for many, many years.
Mm,
But yeah, I mean, marathons for me is like I don't select the marathon just to do them. It's not the get go for it. The journey of a marathon is great, and you get to learn a lot from it. But it's not something I would just randomly sign up for. Like just like Hong Kong, I lived there long enough, and I never want to do a Hong Kong marathon because the course is just not that entertaining. I've done a lot of the
mm,
halves for fun, but if for me, the only time I will sign up for a marathon, if it's whether it's a major or it's a course that I really, really want because I want to run because I enjoy the course. And the
yeah.
next one for me, I would say, if I had to do a marathon next one, and I haven't signed up, well, I signed up, but I haven't gotten into one, it'll be either Tokyo or London, potentially maybe Patagonia, or there's the Great Wall Marathon on my bucket list just because it's running through the Great Wall. But that's just for fun. I don't, currently, there's no marathons on my schedule. And
Okay.
my fitness has really been focused on Not just high rocks. High rocks has always been an easy gateway for me because I've done so much for Spartan. I've done so much for all these unique obstacle course racing or multidisciplinary races that I've done, where
Yeah.
they were just an easy gateway and they all kind of work together with each other. But during Hong Kong, I've done probably like 60 plus Spartan races, 70 plus Spartan races the years I was there. That was representing for Hong Kong and Asia, competing in the professional Spartan world. And that was a lot of the stuff where it was trail running along with mixed station fitness work that I enjoyed. So that was a lot of my background too, building into it.
What would you say to someone that kind of wants to get into like the high rocks or any of these kind of like competitive races for the
Yeah, I
first time?
think the first thing is that for the first time, I think don't be scared of them because the first one's always going to suck.
Mm.
It's just like fitness, just like anything, just like running. A lot of people say, oh, let me train up to there first so I can do it, right? Like, yeah, train, definitely do the background work, do the basics, but don't be afraid to sign up for one because if anything, if you sign up for one, you're most likely to train properly and going to be more focused on your training to get
Mm.
there. If it's your, especially if it's the first event. Spartan's a little different. There's a little bit more barriers to entry with Spartan because there is a trail running involved, so you do need to be technically more inclined. There is more obstacles involved that require a certain technique, grip strength. There's like monkey bars, there's sandbag carries. So those things are a little bit more technical, just like CrossFit. There's a little more technicality to it. But with the boom of High Rocks, the reason why it's booming is because it is fitness racing for everybody.
Mm.
If I tell my mom tomorrow to jump into High Rocks, she'll be able to do it. She'll no problem. I think anybody you tell tomorrow to do it, they'll be fine. It might take a long time, but if you show them how to do the movements that day, they'll get it done. So
Mm.
that's the thing. I think that's the thing about High Rocks. So if people are afraid of joining High Rocks, that's definitely not something you should be afraid of because that's something that's quite simple to everybody. You can only get better from there. But other sports, if you want to just get into any sports, definitely do it progressively. Because the one thing I hate to see and I like hate to hear, and that's something I grill my clients on, they'll jump on and say, "Hey, I want to do a marathon." I was like, Why'd you decide to do that? It's because my friends are doing it. But have you ran anything else before that? No. Have you ran a 5K? No. So when do you want to do this marathon? 2 months from now. I'm like, that's not happening. I mean, you can do it. Sure, I'm sure you can do it. But as professional, I don't think I would like you to
Mm.
do that because the goal of a marathon, just to run it, to check it off your bucket list, shouldn't be a thing because there's other things you can be doing. Run the half marathon. That's fun.
Mm.
That takes a couple months of training. You can still enjoy your day. You can still do a lot of things, but you can really wreck yourself doing these bigger, longer duration competitions. Considering you just want to do it because you're friends, just like an Ironman, right? You're not signing up for a full Ironman without doing
Mm.
any of the smaller distance triathlons. So just because your friends do it, don't always do that, but have the motivation to do sign up for a race.
A lot of people tell me, or when they ask me what I do, when I say that I'm a fitness trainer, they always tell me that they hate running. I don't know why, but God, I hate running.
Most
That's
people, most
something
people
I,
hate running.
yeah. What do you say to those people?
I ask them why do they actually hate running? Like,
Mm.
what's the animosity towards running? Is it because again, is it because we all saw running as a penalty for everything we did growing up? Because that's how school made it, right? School made it as a penalty, so people
Mm.
tend to hate the running side. Or is it? Do you say you're not good at running, but why are you not good at it? Have you practiced it? Have you tried it? Because running is it's so human. It's natural to us, right?
Mm.
It's things that our generations have done multiple years. So you can't say someone can't run. It's just I think we've grown to society of being more sedentary, having
Yeah.
things that are more convenient, having transportation. But running also, a lot of people run too fast. They run too hard if they're
Mm.
just starting off, or they're having a bigger goal in their mind that they think. When I have a person that comes in that wants to that wants to get better at running, and they hate it, I would say, hey, look, let's check off the hate part. Let's have you go out and run for 10 minutes. And what I mean by that is go by time. Go 5 minutes out one way, 5 minutes back. Use it as a warm up. I don't care. But let's just do that. But while you're doing this, don't run as fast as you can. Run at a pace where you can breathe in and out through your nose. You can enjoy a little bit more, and you're not like huffing and puffing when you're coming back. Because that's essentially what we're trying to do with running. You're trying to find that rhythm for yourself you can sustain. So start with 10 minutes. And then next week, go out for 20 minutes. Look for a new area, especially when you're on vacation where you're not familiar with the area. Go run 10 minutes one direction, pick a road, go there. And then when you turn around, come back 10 minutes, you've done a 20-minute run. But again, you're not going for a specific distance. You're not aiming for a specific time. And this just, you can constantly grow this longer and longer. And eventually you get through a month of it, you're like, wait, there's something is quite meditative about it, self-reflective about it, something you might enjoy. Because now you're not gasping for air because you went out too fast, thinking that you can crush a 10K,
Mm.
then this is definitely a more gradual progression. Because a lot of people think when they have to run, I'm going to go out and run 5K or run 2K or run a 10K, right? But what does that really mean? If you never ran a 5 or 2K, your body doesn't know what distance is. It only knows what work is, right? It doesn't know what heart rate is. It doesn't know how fast you're running. It only knows how hard your heart is pumping. So let's bring that down a little bit, just as we progress in training and coaching of how much weight you lift or how much you step up, you push intensity wise, time in the time domain. The same thing can happen with running, and that's where you start enjoying it, where you find out, oh, after long enough of this train of just running 5 minutes and 10 minutes, I was like, oh, I can enjoy this. Now let me extend this a little more. And now you start thinking about more things. And then you want to start adding in speed session. So I think it's just the first step of breaking it down to a more bite-sized piece and focusing more on time, controlled effort versus just getting out there and run as fast as you can to finish it.
Mm. What does running mean to you?
I think running has been a very important factor for me since many years now. It's pretty much the foundation of all my training now. Anything that I do, anything that I have benefited from, anything that I have competed in and excelled at has been thanks to running, because it builds up your engine, your lungs, your lung capacity, your blood flow, everything. Impact resistance, because running is jumping from one leg to the other over and over. Essentially, it's falling from one leg to the other over and over and over, and you build your leg strength, your calf strength, your heart rate. It's as we get older, there's only a couple of things we need to do to be more fit, right? It's lift heavier and run faster. And it doesn't mean run longer. You can just do short sprints because your efficiency goes away, your elasticity goes away, testosterone goes down. So those are things you need to control to keep the muscle mass so you can live a more long lifestyle that's of quality. Not just living old just to live old, but live old because there's quality involved with it. So I think running for me is my meditative state, my enjoyment. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it hurts, but it has brought so much joy to me. Partially how I ended up in Asia was all because of running. I ended up in Asia because of being part of Nike Running, meeting Lindsay, building a gym out in Hong Kong, being in Indonesia, doing everything. It's all because of running. So I think running has just been a gateway for me. It's great for any sort of mental issues I had or any focus or stresses I had, and has been great at opening doors in many different ways.
Run clubs are huge at the moment. They're all the buzz.
Yep.
What do you think of that? And like, how do you think, like, what is, again, like if someone new to running, how do I choose my run club?
Yeah, I have a very interesting take on run clubs because I came from back in the OG or the original run crew culture, what we call it, right? I think every couple of years there's a reiteration of this, and I think the original iteration of this would be your Harrier clubs or the very original performance-based clubs back in the day, right? You have your like Central Park Harrier club, you have your Korea. These are the like Olympic clubs or the clubs for the elites that want to focus on running and focusing on the sharp distances. And this is back in like the early '90s and late '80s. And then you had the boom of Nike and the reinsurgence of running through like the early 2010s, where that's the run crew culture. So before the run clubs, it was like run crews, and that's where every run crew started popping up, from New York to LA to Paris to Berlin to Amsterdam, Hong Kong. The original one was the Harbor Runners, and these guys have been here for many years, right? And the focus of that was the cool kids, the music kids, the artisans, the people getting together outside of work so they can really just enjoy life a little bit, but also push for performance. I think that was the focus from the late 2010s into like the 2015s before pandemic. And then now this run club culture is definitely unique, interesting, it's different. There's a benefit to it too. It's kids coming out of the pandemic where they realize social connection is very important. Gatherings are very important, and fitness is very important. So it's a shift and change to that too. So now where people becomes the run clubs, dating scene's part of it now, because of course dating has become a little bit harder. And when run clubs are bringing people together that normally wouldn't, different walks of life that wouldn't get together anyways. So definitely all for that also. And it's just bringing a good vibe to it. As long as like we talk about community building, right? As long as the focus is there for an authentic community versus one building it just to get free stuff, free clout, meeting people in the wrong ways. Or there's also issues of potential now stalking. There's issues of dating within these club cultures that have been popping up more and more too. So as long as there's authenticity with, I believe run clubs are great. They help with gym culture also. They help bringing more people into gyms. They help connecting different ways. They help businesses in many different ways. So I think it has been a great success after coming out of the pandemic. And I guess when saying picking the right run club for you, go to different ones and see who you guys connect with. just with any sort of group you want to feel belonging with. Does that group make you feel like you belong? Does that group challenge you? Does that group have the focus and integrity that you've been looking for? I think those are the small things that you will know when you join the right run club. Because my run group, our run crew is focused more on performance, and there's some people that come
Yeah.
in and feel like we're too intimidating, and that's all right. We're I know we're intimidating. We will where you everybody's welcoming. We will walk you through it, and you will be part of our friends. But it takes a certain amount of people that want to be pushed a certain way.
Mm.
So I think each group, Hong Kong, whichever city, New York, whichever city you're in, every city has their own run clubs and even gyms that has all their specific focus that allows for something that makes you feel like you belong or
Mm.
challenging also.
So obviously, this whole show is based around how much you can learn about yourself and others during a workout. What do you feel like you've learned over the years about yourself through movement?
I've learned. I think I've learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot, and I've had this conversation recently with a friend too. Um, Everything gets condensed into when you're focusing more on fitness, just like challenges in life, right? We go through relationship challenges, family challenges, businesses, anything, right? And all these challenges, no one likes challenges. But in fitness, you know these challenges come in to help you grow to get better. You also might not like it in training, but when you get over it, you know you're progressing somewhere. You know these challenges are small things for you to get better. And then this slowly shifts over to applying to your life. The challenge in your life, challenge in marriage, things that you might not want to do, things that you might not want to say, the businesses meetings you might not want to take, or things you're afraid of. Those are things that might actually help you grow. And then in the fitness world, that kind of condenses and allows you to see the progression, the benefit quicker. And then when you take that out of the fitness lifestyle to put to your entire rest of your career paths or anything else you have going on, I think that's where it comes from. Where I see these transitions allowing the benefits of from fitness moving into my personal life takeaways and growth.
Mm.
There's a lot of the similarities just condensed from fitness moving into my own life. Yeah, so
Yeah.
the gains and benefits I've gotten, I mean, to say that all the opportunities I've gotten from currently being even living in Bali came from fitness is just it's an understatement. It definitely has been part of that. And then utilizing that for mental well-being, for personal growth, for understanding myself and being quite communicative about it has all came down from understanding my own breakdowns of shortcomings, whether that's in fitness and life and moving it along forward.
So normally, before I interview my guests, I work out with them. So we
Yeah,
obviously you're in Bali, I'm in Hong Kong. We didn't really get that opportunity as such, but you joined one of my classes virtually, a
absolutely. Yeah.
heated sculpt class, family form. Did you have any expectations going into that session?
Yeah, well, I wasn't exactly sure what to expect, but I've definitely seen Lindsay post some of the stuff. I've seen some couple of
Mm,
friends post some family form stuff. So, but yeah, it would be interesting. I know it's a full on sweat workout session, and it's something more focused more towards mobility or movement based. So I was like, okay, it'd be a great time for me after coming off a workout. I can tackle the second
mm,
workout to move my body around in different ways that I'm not familiar with. Yeah.
mm. What did you feel like you learned about yourself in that session?
Uh, Being able to be vulnerable. It's certain movement patterns that I'm not familiar with, certain movement
Mm,
patterns I don't do in my day to day, and be able to be open to it. Like, look, it's just movement, it's body moving in different ways, especially in a masculine mindset. We have certain things we withhold in ourselves. And that
mm,
was like, why not? We're going to move our body in different ways. And I've got a hell of a stretch out of it. I got my body was flowing properly differently than I've had before, and it's something that I needed that I haven't done in a long time. Because
mm.
we all get stuck in our own training, and sometimes we need others to work with and others to train to grow to become
Yeah,
better. And I think that was
yeah,
one of
yeah.
the things that I walked away with.
Nice. From the small bits that I could see of you doing the workout, I feel like you're someone that's very curious. I got from those clips, yet determined. So even if some of the movements were not familiar to you, you were just right there, kind of stretching and reaching and keeping up. So that's, would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, yeah. I think I guess that's something that's personal work for myself. Yeah,
Mm,
not to say I have to be the best, but it's something that I'm always willing
no.
to work and try to work
Mm.
to be hard with. And that's I agree upon that too. So it's we're all novices in our mind. We're all beginners, and we have to be open book to be the best version of ourselves as possible.
Also, Were you using a wine or like a water bottle as a hand weight?
So I was like, yeah, it was a lotion bottle. I was like, yeah, it's right here. I don't
Okay.
have hand weights at home. So like, oh,
Mm.
lotion bottle weighs about a pound or so, a couple pounds. I'm like, why not use that? But then I started using it. I was like, wait, I have a glass bottle in my fridge that has a liter in it. I could use that. So I switched over to that, and that weighs like another kilo or two. So I was like, I'll go with that.
I love that. I just
Like,
noticed it.
yeah,
I
just
was like, what?
making honestly making use of what I had. I
Yeah.
also had ankle weights that was given to me for ages ago, and I was like, oh, wait,
Mm.
they're right here. I can use these too. So definitely making use of equipment that
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't used in a long time. That's been great.
It was giving very lockdown vibes, like the bag
Yeah,
of rice.
doing what
um,
we can. We did way too many of those, and I
yeah,
think we get good at those.
I love that. Was there anything based on, I know it was like through a screen, but what did you learn, if anything, about me?
I learned that you're quite expressive with movement. Expressive with
Mm,
movement, and even though you didn't have to say much in class, I think the class flowed through really easily. So for someone to showcase a movement patterns and having people follow through, you have to
mm,
be quite informative in certain ways, and you were expressive about it for the entire class and not even question a certain thing. It seems like everybody knew what they were doing. They were moving along with you, and all you had to say was just, "Yep, we're switching over to the next one," or like one more to
mm.
go, like you mentioned, and that's good to see because that's definitely a example of a trainer properly able to showcase what they have to do without having to saying it.
We'll have to get you into the studio next time you're in town.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay, we like to wrap things up with a little lightning round. So I'll just fire a few bunch of questions at you. Just don't think about it too much. Just first thing that kind
Sure.
of comes off your mind. So go to sweat, like your go-to
Ooh, running,
workout.
running,
Go to treat meal.
ice cream.
Nice. Any kind of what kind of flavor?
I'm a curious eater. I try anything and everything. I love it. It's just a lot, and there's so many. I just and sweets in general. It's just a treat meal for me.
Okay, love it. Go to stress reliever.
Walking on a beach.
Nice. I'm the beach is like my happy place as well. I
Yeah,
agree. Yeah.
I didn't think it was growing up in the city, but it has became that now. Yeah.
Mm. Go to travel destination.
Ooh, that's the funny answer. I can't think of one because I'm quite happy being here in my island.
Go to morning routine.
Waking up, foam roller, and getting out the door to just run.
Nice. Go to coffee order.
I don't drink coffee. Yeah.
What what do you what is
I
your do
literally
you have a replacement or
morning and ice water, sparkling. I
okay.
drink a lot of sparkling soda water.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, same. Go to weekend activity.
driving up to the mountains. Just I
Nice.
jump on my water bike and just drive and hit the different environments and you get out of the city vibes.
Go to music playlist.
Hip hop.
Any particular artist?
Ooh, I mean, Biggie, OG hip hop, a little bit more
Nice.
shifting over to Kendrick, and it depends on the vibes, but yeah, it depends on the mood. But I'm all for all hip hop, especially more like late 2000s hip hop versus the
Mm,
currently the stuff we have now. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, that's my vibe. Go to book.
Oof. I want to say most of the books I've been reading are all like some sort of health science or biohacking. So I don't think it's a specific author. It's just anything that deals with more tech information, science information stuff. Yeah.
Go to self care ritual.
Ice tub. Sorry, cold tub,
Yeah.
sauna, hot tub,
How
contrast
long?
therapy.
How long do you do that for?
It
The
depends. It
cold
depends on the
process.
protocol. Yeah, yeah. It depends on what I'm going for, and I think that's a information I really like enjoy sharing. If I came off a hard session, I was just doing
Mm,
quick contrast therapy between like a minute or two between each, and I'll stay in the sauna for maybe like 10 minutes. If
okay.
it's a morning wake up routine where if I'm getting out and nothing to do, I get to use the recovery pool myself. Then I can stay a little longer in the cold tub, just because it's just more of a mental refresher and wakes your body up. And if it's 6 7 hours after a big workout, then I can stay a little bit longer just because you can avoid the detriments of growth hormone. So I think
Mm,
it depends what your goal is, how you train, and are you focused on performance or mental health. So I think it depends on the days and how long I stay in them.
nice. And last one. Go to app.
WhatsApp. I'm on it all day long. Not sorry. Go to as in sorry. I take that back. That's the app I open the most because people are always messaging me. But if I have time alone, it really be more like my sleeping app.
Oh,
It's 8 sleep. It's the one that controls my bed temperature. If I'm taking a nap, I'm just pressing on that and just dealing with it. That's my go-to app, the one I like to see.
yeah. I just recently started tracking my sleeping for like the last couple of
Yeah,
months. So I find that supremely fascinating. Like,
there's so
yeah,
much information. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. That's the stuff I really love diving into.
yeah. So what is next for you, Johnny?
What is next? Oh, good question. I think this quite broad question, but I think you're asking me probably what next in a chapter of my life and what I'm focusing on, right?
Mm. Hmm.
What's I think for me, I have a couple businesses I'm launching, and the community has been growing for me. So finding the balancing of working with people around me, the friends around me, between my running circle, between building the gyms, and also operating my businesses. I think that's what's next for me. Really trying to scale those up and build that in a way where it provides value to others, because my personal integrity for all the stuff I work with, the brands I deal with, the personal things I build are quite high, and I don't want that to be compromised in any way. So what's next for me is getting those up and going out the door and trying to get as much success out of it as I can.
And how do people find you on socials?
Yeah, definitely find me on Instagram. It's Quack Tieu, quack like a duck, QUACKTIEU. And if you're in Bali, pretty much swing on through. That's pretty much the two ways most people tend to find me, either between or if you see me out in either High Rocks or Spartan or some sort of races, people tend to find me around racing, Instagram, or out in Bali.
Nice. I will definitely hit you up the next time I am in Bali, wintry Bali.
Definitely,
But
man.
thank you so much, Johnny. This
Yeah.
has been a pleasure, super fun. Yeah, good luck with everything. I'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me on board. Really appreciate it. And definitely love what you're doing with the fitness scene and definitely the information you're bringing to others.
Thank you. See you soon. Thank you for joining us on Move, Sweat, Discover. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.